Sun Illuminati controls the world. RDR, research, discover, and reflect. The Sunriser. Friends, people of the world, mga magsisidlak, akong mga kaigsunan nga mga magsisidlak, the 7.8 billion people around the world, the 109 million Filipinos of Filipians. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Mayong adlaw, mayong gabi. Mga magsisidlak, mga magdadasig, and the co-sunrisers on this 7th millennium. And our main discussion for today, ang atong pag-isgutan karon, kabahin na sa Illuminati. What is this? Isa ba grupo sa Illuminati? And how this group Illuminati controls the world? Giunsa ba paglaang ang tibuok kalibutan? Giunsa pagkontrolar ang tibuok kalibutan? This is now our question. And so, we have to digest the two general ways of destroying divine plan. Dunay duha ka general nga mga pamaagi kung giunsa pag-destroy, pagguba ang plano sa Dios. The first is what we call as the satanic system, and this is identified evil practices. John chapter 8 verse 44, and punished by the penal laws or the revised penal code. Dunay duruha ka paagi giunsa man pagguba sa divine plan. Ang una mao pinaagi sa satanic system, usa ka sistema nga gideklarar o gikondemn as evil, and that is defined by the revised penal code of the land of all the nations of the world. Kalibutan, mihimo mikondenar niya na o kana gitawag og ubos sa mga criminal justice system. So this satanic system, mga dautan nga mga buhat, gikondenar kini og silutan ubos sa criminal justice system. But there is another way on which Satan was able to penetrate the world. Yun sa dautan nga ang kalibutan apan ang katawhan dili makaalinggat nga kini di ay tuana sa imborna ngadto sa kadautan. And this is what we call as the angelic pretension system. What is this angelic pretension system? It is done through Illuminati. Grupo kana sa gitawag og Illuminati. The meaning of Illuminati, illumination. Illumination means kahayag. The light, supposedly, but yet, Paul has warned us in letter to the Corinthians, chapter 11, verses 14 to 15. Kana may warning ni Saint Paul nga even si Satanas makahimo sa iyang kaugalingon as angel of light. Makahimo siya isip anghel sa kahayag. And so, dinhi natilabho ang kalibutan. Because the righteous people, even the religious people, the innocents, believe nga kining gipatuman sibo sa plano sa Diyos. And yet, there is a hidden agenda. This is now the main topic. Now, as a sort of introduction, para makaintindi po tayo, parang makuha po natin ano talaga yung essence of Illuminati. Take note in his ang pinakasinugdanan gyud niining Illuminati grupo kini nga as if of light mao gyud si Lucifer, being the angel of light, but he rebelled against God. May rebelde batok sa Diyos because he was the first who invoked that doctrine of equal, meaning equal si Lucifer sa Diyos, and he want to occupy that throne of God because he believed that doctrine of equality, and this is handed down and down. And so when Lucifer was thrown out by God from heaven, kaya ang magpataas, ipaubos. Ang magpaubos, ipataas. Thrown out from heaven. Nasayon siya that the penalty is hell. And so, he want to have members sa iyang gingharian sa imperno. And so, he tempted our first parents so that the generations, ang mga kaliwat sa atong unang mga ginikanan, mahisakop sa iyang gingharian. And how Satan tempted our first parents? It is through reason and knowledge. Reason and knowledge. He penetrated into this world using reason and knowledge, dominated by pride. Misud siya, giabertuhan ang iyang gingharian sa kalibutan, pinaagi sa pagpasok sa utok sa atong unang ginikanan on reason and Genesis chapter 3 verse 5 to 7. O sa unsa bang pagi nga misud siya? He tempted with eye ihang kaon kamo niya ng maong prutas kay maabli ang inyong salabutan, mahimo kamong makinadmanon o may sama kamo sa Diyos. So that reason, that knowledge, that is a product of the flesh. Rason, kahibalo, o lawas nun without the spiritual aspect. And so Lucifer, the tempter, the deceiver, the murderer, and liar. The origin, siya mo'y mitintal sa atong unang mga ginikanan, o siya mo'y milingla, siya usab mo'y murderer, o siya mo'y amahan sa mga bakak, lies. And so Saint John, in his book, chapter 8, verse 44, mipadayag that the nature of Lucifer is a tempter, deceiver, murderer, and liar. Siya mo'y tigpanintal, siya mo'y tiglingla sa tao to deceive the world. Linglahon ang kalibutan. As if nga makita sa kalibutan nga kini maong kahayag. As that way, that system, that practice is right or correct, but in fact and in reality is against the divine plan. And so out of this, ni ay tulo ka mga warning. 3 warnings. The first nga may warning against this Illuminati. 3 warnings against this pretension of the angel of light. Dunay tulo ka hutong ka mga warnings. Aron ang katauhan sa tibok kalibutan dili malingla ni ining paglingla, pag-ilad sa kalibutan. The first nga may warning was Jesus. Jesus was the first who warned the people. In the niyadtong nagsugkod siya sa iyang pagwali at the age of 30 hangtod sa pangidaron nga 33. In other words, in the year 30 to 33 AD, Anno Domini. The warning of Jesus. Sa diha nga siya gitintal, gitintal ni Satanas. What was used as the first temptation, take note, because all the events in this world, as Sir Dominic Moso Angel is reminding us, sa tanan nga mga panghitabo sa kalibutan, all the happenings, the mysteries, the problems, the complexities in this world can be traced up cause to cause, root cause, basics, ari kita sa warnings ni Jesus. It can be traced and resolved. The first warning of Jesus, temptation. And the way, the first act of temptation is fleshly mindedness, meaning bodily needs. Una nga lakang para matintal ang tao, man will be deceived by Lucifer, by Satan, and therefore become the members of his kingdom on earth using our body. Gamiton ang atong lawas minus soul. Take note. The formula is fleshly mindedness, bodily needs, minus spiritual needs. In other words, body minus soul. It is the formula of the devil. nga ang mga tao sa tibok kalibutan, ang huna-hunaon, the people around the world, 7.8 billion people around the world, will only think of their bodily needs without thinking of their spiritual needs. And so body-mindedness. Jesus warned us through Saint Matthew in chapter 4, verses 3 to 4. This bodily mindedness, mao kini ang giingon ni San Mateo. Chapter 4, verse 3 to 4. Unsa ba? Sa dihang nag-fasting ang Ginoo for 40 days. Unya, miingon si Satanas, ka ikaw Dios man, himo ang pan, kining bato. Unya, kung himuon nimong pan, kining bato, then mabusog ka diha sa imuhang pagpuasa. In other words, he was tempted for Jesus to be bodily mindedness. In awas lang ang huna-hunaon. This first formula of the devil. Didto nagpuasa siya sulod sa 40 ka adlaw ug 40 ka gabi ug unya gigutom siya. The people in this world are in need of bodily needs. Nagkinahanglan kita para sa atong lawas. Unsa may para sa atong lawas? Food, clothing, shelter, convenience, tanan nga mga pinahanglan din para sa atong lawas. Ingon si Satanas ug biduol kaniyang ang yawa ug nag-ingon, anak ka man kaha sa Dios, himo ang pan kining bato. So himo ang pan kining bato. Purpose for the bread, it is to satisfy the needs of the body. But Jesus taught us not to be tempted. And in order for man not to be tempted is to think our spiritual needs, balance, body, and soul. So, in other words, this world is a battle of principles. Hence, tanang panghitabok nining kalibutan is a battle of principles. And now the question with the Illuminati, what principles are dominating? Unsa man ang mga prinsipyo, mga oy giaplikar o gisagup sa tibuok kalibutan. It is a principle of Illuminati and not the principle of God. O dinhin na basot ang kalibutan. And so, mitubag si Jesus. Ang kasulatan nag-ingon, ang tao mabuhi dili sa pan lamang, kun dili sa matag pulong usab nga isulti sa Dios. What's the message? In other words, God did not deny the needs of the body. Kay miingon man siya nga dili lamang mabuhi sa pan. Wa siya mingon, dili mo kaon og pan. Lamang, only, it's not only, but also. Meaning, both. Take note the very basics of principle. So in other words, what is required is a balance of material needs and the spiritual needs. That is according to the Second Plenary Council of the Philippines as integral salvation. Integral salvation means spiritual and
bodily or material salvation. Maluwas ang atong lawas nga ginagkinahanglan nga mabuhi labaw sa tanan. Maluwas usab ang atong kalag nga mabuhi ang kalag nga walay kamatayon. That is what we call as integral salvation. And that integral salvation is phrased as triumphant church. Ang triumphant church nagpasabot buhi nga mga santos. Buhi nga mga santos. Radically speaking, kining triumphant church, buhi nga mga santos, mao ang epekto sa integral salvation. And so, ang atong lawas nga maluwas, ang atong lawas nga bayanihon, every Filipino should be a hero. Our body nga mo survive to fight, that is every Filipino, every Ophelian, a hero that's accredited to our body. Performance of our body, let that body, let every Filipino be a hero, bayani. And so the performance of our soul, full of spiritual needs, spiritual food, mahitabo nga ang atong soul, let every Filipino, let every Ophelian, a saint, santos, santos, santos. In other words, the effect of integral salvation, adopting the formula that was introduced by Christ in Matthew chapter 4, verse 3 to 4, is integral salvation. Salvation, both body and soul, tungod kay atong gibusog ang atong lawas, labaw na nga atong gibusog ang atong kalag through the words of God. And the result is every Filipino a hero, every Filipino a saint, santos ug bayani. That's the essence. Bayani in his capacity as member of the state, and a saint in his as member of the church integral salvation. Now, what happened? Take note. How this formula introduced by Christ was destroyed. It was destroyed through Illuminati, injected into the legal system, injected into the system, injected into the social system, the social media and others, injected into the political system, economic system, all other systems, and even the system. Forget the spiritual needs. Disregard the words of God. So long as our body is to be saved. Kini mao ang gipahigayon sa Illuminati. And the people believe that that is correct. Because that's for the subject minus one, minus kana ang, and that is run, that is practiced worldwide. Warning number 2 by Jesus. Warning number 2. When he was tempted by Lucifer, giingnan siya. Matthew chapter 4, verses 5 to 7. Unsa ba giingon ni Satanas? Unya gidala si Jesus sa yawa ngadto sa Jerusalem, ang balaang syudad, ug gipatindog siya sa kinatas ang bahin sa templo ug giingnan, anak ka man kaha sa Dios, ambak ngadto sa ubos, kay nag-ingon man ang kasulatan, ang Dios magsugo sa iyang mga anghel pagbantay kanimo, sapnayon kanila aron dili maigo sa bato bisan gani ang imong mga tiil. He was tempted. He was tempted. The pride was attacked. Gitandog ang garbo. When a person has an ability, take note. Everyone has a skill, ability. When we have that ability, then pride shall come in. Muabot ang garbo, tandugon ang garbo. Purpose nga matandog ang garbo para gamiton ang gahom sa pagpagarbo. In other words, the second method of Illuminati is using P times P. And what is that P times P? It is pride times power. So in other words, if you were Jesus, it is true. It is really true that God pwede nga mo ambak si Jesus. Sapnayon siya sa mga anghel. Yes, because He is God and there are angels in heaven. But it is an act of pride. But God is a God of humility. God does not use His power to show pride. Dili gamiton ang gahom sa Dios aron lamang pagpagarbo. Now is the issue. Matthew chapter 4 verse 5 to 7. Ang gahom karon sa kagamhanan. How much is cost? How much? Pila may maggasto nga mulansar kag barangay kagawad? How much is the cost when you run for punong barangay? How much is the cost when you run for a municipal kagawad? Vice Mayor, congressman, senator, president, or president? Because of pride. Disease of electoral leading, manelection happens because of power purchase at the pretense of election. Is Illuminati. So nining puntuha, we are warned by God. In other words, there are systems practiced by the people on earth. Dunay mga sistema nga gibansay sa katawhan sa kalibutan. Unya ang katawhan nagatuo, they believe that that system practice is right, but in fact, it is against God's plan. Pride and power. And so, what is the solution against PP is HS. Unsa man kining HS formula. This is what we call as humility and sanctity. Humility and sanctity found in Matthew chapter 5, verse 3 to 12. and 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 15 to 16. Unsa ba kini? Humility. So, take note. PP pride times power. That's Satan's. But God's formula is humility times sanctity. Humility, opposite. Because while Jesus is God, He is the creator, co-creator of the world na himo. Pinaagi ka nga mong pulong. And yet, as He is the King, supposedly, sa iyang pagpakatao ni i-grand adto siya magpakatao first class hotel. And yet, what He used is humility dito nagpakatao sa pasungan. Yung sanctity, pagkabalaan. And so that's in the first, the 8 Beatitudes, Matthew chapter 5, verse 3 to 12, times 1 Peter, verses 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 15 to 16. Gitawag kamo aron pagkabalaan. Kaya ang Diyos nagtawag kanyo, balaan man. In other words, the output of the church is holiness. Meaning, santos, santos, santos. Buhi ng mga santos. And that's the second warning of God. In words, the law of humility and sanctity versus Illuminati system, which is PP, pride times power. We are yet discussing basics of formula. Unsa ba ang ikatulo? The third warning of Jesus. It is materialism and worldliness. M times W. Unsa kini? Materialism times worldliness. Makalibutanon. This is a warning of Jesus in Matthew chapter 4, verse 8 to 10. Unsa ba giingon ang warning? Makalibutanon, worldliness. Here is the temptation. The third manner of temptation. The first group of temptations composed of bodily temptation. Lawas. Apil na niya na sa lust, greediness, lahat. Lawas. Duha. Pride. That's temptation. Third is materialism and worldliness. Here is in Matthew chapter 4, verse 8 to 10. Unsa man ang giingon sa Matthew chapter 4, verse 8 to 10. Nag-ingon. Unya gidala si Jesus sa yawa ngadto sa usa ka habog kaayo nga bukid o gipakita kaniya ang tanang gingharian sa kalibutan, all the kingdoms on earth. Og ang ilang kanindot, the grandeur of the kingdoms on earth. Ang yawa mingon, ihatag ko kanimo kining tanan kun muluhod ka ug mosimba kanako. If you kneel me, I will give you all the kingdoms on earth. All the wealth on earth I'll give. These wealth and these kingdoms only if you kneel before me. Kung ikaw muluhod ka nako, ihatag ko kanimo ang kalibutan, ang mga gingharian sa kalibutan. Take note. Very basic. Very basic. And so, the first system of temptation is using the body. Second system of temptation, gamiton ang garbo and power. Third system of temptation, the materialism, the world, the created things, forgetting the Creator. Gamiton ang mga bahandi sa kalibutan, kining mga butang binuhat, ikalimtan ang magbubuhat. Kana mahimong materialistic ang tao. And this is implemented through the Illuminati operations, penetrating even in the spiritual, even in the church, penetrating in the political system, economic system, in the social system, penetrating the legal system. Ang tao mapugos pagka-materialistic, forgetting the Creator. There is a system, and we will dig up what system nga atong kisunod karon. And so, what is the instruction of Jesus? It's not to be tempted by materialism and worldliness. Para kay kung mahitabo nga ang tao mamaterial on buhat ikalimtan ang buhat santos ang tao kung dili mahil mo dito sa imperno. And formula of Jesus, self-denial, discipleship. The formula is SRD. RD. Meaning of SRD, self-denial. Unsa bay self-denial? Nagpasabot. Idumili ang imong kaugalingon. And discipleship. While we deny, do not ay mga kaibog, do not ay material, self-control, because radical disciple sunod sa example, self-denial. He is God. Pwede unta nga adto siya sa first class hotel and yet self-denial. Nag-deny, nagpaubos. Self-denial wa mga panggarbo. So in other words, sa bilin siya. And then radical discipleship, sunod unsay plano sa Dios. For us to fully comprehend, niya ang giingon ni Jesus, self-denial, take note, very important. It is nila pagkatao mahimong mantos. And for us not to be misled, dili ta may salaag sa lingla ni ining structural sins nga gisunod sa katawhan sa kalibutan. In Matthew chapter 16, verse 26, 24 to 26, unsay giingon ni Jesus. Ningon siya, Matthew 16, verse 24 to 26. Unya miingon si Jesus sa iyang mga tinun-an, kung ang usa ka tawo buot mahimong akong tinun-an, kinahanglan dili sa magtuman sa iyang kaugalingon. In other words, he must forget, or he should have that self-control. Kinahanglan dili siya magtuman sa iyang kaugalingon, pas-anon ni cross o sacrifice. That is the meaning of self-denial. Self-denial is not to satisfy the bodily needs, dili pagtagbaw sa lawas nun nga kauhaw o lawas nung panginhanglan, kun dili mao ang pagpasan sa iyang cross. In other words, we have our problems. We have the trials in life. And we have to carry this cross. Pasan nun ang cross. And radical discipleship, mao kini nga siya mosunod kanako. Pagsunod ni Kristo, in order to perform as the actors and actresses of divine plan, divine will, and divine laws. In other words, radical discipleship, mao ang pagsunod sa plano sa Diyos, balaod sa Diyos, kabubuton sa Diyos. And that's embodied in chapter 16, 24 to 26. And so, mingon pa siya, may makuha ba ang tao kung maangkon niya ang tibok kalibutan? Apan kawad-an siya siyang kinabuhi? This is a rebuttal against body-mindedness. For the first time, the body gamiton ang lawas as temptation. Bisan pa nga maangko nato ang tanang bahandi kalang. Bisan ang tanang fleshly mindedness, power and pride, plus and materialism, bisag niya kanato ang tanan, dungog himaya bahandi. Apan, kawad-an sa miingingon, kay ang galingon kinabuhi mawad-an hinuon ni ini. Ang kinabuhi tungod kanako makabaton ni ini. So in other words, the effect is this. If man of his body forgetting the soul, if the man has to think of the world materialism forgetting the Creator, the result is death. Romans 5:12. The result is death. And this is the reality in the world. Kining prinsipyuha mao'y gisagup sa tibuok kalibutan, instituted in the government, economic system, social media, educational system, legal system. What is adopted as structural sins? The principle of body-mindedness, forgetting the human soul. Mao ang lawas, wa nay paghuna-huna, doon na ba'y kalag ang tao. Mao ang paghigugma sa mga butang binuhat, hikalimtan ang magbubuhat. Kini mao'y gipatuman sa tibuok kalibutan. And so, miingon ang Diyos, may makuha ba ang tao nga maangkon niya ang tibuok kalibutan? Apan, kawad-an siya sa kinabuhi. That's death. Wala gayod. Walay bisan unsa nga ikahatag ang tao aron mabawi niya ang kinabuhi. Because the owner of life is God. Now, gi-inject sa kalibutan wa nay labot ang Ginoo. And the most labing makasubo mao that the Pope even glorified the atheist. Gipangutana kabahin sa mga atheist. The atheist, regardless, so long as you have the conscience, it does not matter if you do not believe in God. imagine. Ingon ini ang grabe ang dagkan sa simbahan. Ingon ini ang mahitabo nga bisan wa nay Diyos disregarded na and distraction. And now, unsa man ang gipadayag sa Dios, hinumdumi kini. Kay ang anak sa tao hapit na mabot uban say maya sa iyang amahan. Ingon niini ang dagan. And so, another one. Kini ang warning ni Jesus. Take note. Body, and now, what counter action this world dominated under this what we call as structural sins. And take note, these structural sins of body-mindedness, structural sin, meaning pride and power, structural sin of materialism and worldliness, there is already a solution given by God. And that is number one solution, integral salvation, body and soul. Ikaduhang solution, humility times sanctity, pagkasantos. Ikatulong solution, self-denial and radical discipleship. And the second warning, si Saint Paul, niya ang warning ni Saint Paul. Take note, if dili warning ni Jesus, ni ay warning ni St. Paul. St. Paul warned the church that Illuminati shall be founded. Satan can disguise himself to look like an angel of light, disguise themselves to look like servants of righteousness, but in the end, they will get exactly what their actions deserve. Si St. Paul, si San Pablo, kanus abring mga tuiga, in the year nitong 62 to 60, monay namatyan, monay tuig namatay si St. Paul. Nataw kini siya mga 4, nitong 4, no? Mamaora sila kang Jesus, no? 4 niya ng mga tuiga dito sa Tarsus, no? Now in Cilicia, now in Turkey. Si St. Paul, namatay sa mga 62, no? During Christ. Now, sa Rome of Italy, si St. Paul niyan itong higayuna, may warning sa katawhan nga mabut ang panahon, time would come that Illuminati shall be founded. Why? What is that Illuminati? Satan can disguise himself to look like an angel of light. Sa unsang paagi, there will be a structural system, structural sin, mga system of principles, nga tanawon sa mga tao correct when the people can see and observe as if the people would believe that the systems of life are really correct. Yes, correct ka dyan for the body's need. Yan, for the salvation of the body. You are you forget the -1. What appears to the people, the truth is only 50%. Yan ang nakita sa mga tao sa buong mundo, and that is the system adapted to the all countries of the world. So kaya nga, Satan can disguise himself to look like an angel of light. and disguise themselves to look like servants of righteousness, as if righteousness. But in the end, time would come in the end times, sa katapusang panid sa kasaysayan sa kalibutan, they will get exactly what their actions deserve. Kay matud pa sa ni Propeta Malakias chapter 4 verse 1 to 3, pagabot sa katapusang yugto sayan sa kalibutan, way mahibilin nga mga dautan, niining kalibutan sunugon sama sa dagami. It will come to an end. In Psalm 91 verse 8, nagaingon, makita raon niya unsaon pagkastigo sa mga dautan. Makita raon niya pagkahugno niini. And so, natin, leading principles that misled the people. These are the structural sins that will be put to an end matapos ka na. And so Saint John clarified it in Revelation chapter 20 verse 1 to 10. During the millennial kingdom, gapuson si Satanas. Satan will be imprisoned in the cave of loneliness. Prisuhon siya. Meaning, dili na siya kalihok. Why? Because all these structural sins will be destroyed and put to an end. Kini ang end of the practices and sa mga sistema adopted in the political system, economic system, educational system, social system, legal system will be put to an end. And what will be adopted? Divine plan, divine will, divine laws. Matuman ang kabubuton sa Diyos. And so, we were taught to pray, Our Father who art in heaven, amahana mo na ka sa langit, pagdaygon ang imong ngalan, umabot ka na mo ang imong gingharian. Thy kingdom come, your kingdom come on earth, thy kingdom come, your kingdom in heaven, come on earth. Because this earth is the ultimate throne of God. Thy kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's the conclusion of the Lord. And we will triumph. So mao ka na ang triumphant church. And so, another third warning of St. James. Si St. James concluded, si Santiago, tulo ni sila nga paborito ni Jesus, nga sa mga mysteries, kanang mga milagro nga ipakita ni Jesus, si San Pedro, si Santiago, o si the evangelist. Kini silang tulo kanunay. And ka St. James specialty, St. James was the one who converted Spain into Christianity. So St. James, ang iyang specialty is faith times action. Faith should be coupled with action. So St. James, sa iyang pag-ingon, James 19 to 18, 24 and 26, iyang gipadayag, faith should be proven by action, for faith is dead without action. Gipadayag ni Santiago, nga patay ang pagtuo kung walay buhat. Patay ang pagtuo kung walay buhat. Faith is dead without action. Christianity is dead without application of the teachings of Christ. Christianity is dead if the Church of authorities does not implement God's laws, God's will, God's plan, patay ang Kristyanismo. Patay ang pagtuo kung ang plano kabubuton ug mga balaod sa Dios dili ipatuman dinhi sa kalibutan. And so when Pope Francis declared that gay couples should be protected by law through civil union, Pope Francis is murdering Christianity. More than million times mortal sin talaga. In the commission of sin, the gravity of the sin, times the weight of your position, it is different. If ang usa ka grade 1 person without title moingon, pwede ang gay, minyuon ka na sila sa civil union. Is it equal ang sin na committed sa usa ka grade 1 person without title, without position, comparing to a pope? It is multiplication because of his position, aggravating circumstances. And so St. James warned the church, faith should be proven by action. Without action, useless preachings, useless Christianity, kung ang balaod sa Diyos wa ipatuman, kundi ang balaod sa immorality, the laws of Satan are to be implemented. And what is that? Unsa man, let us now digest case to case. Apply na. Example. Application na. When Pope Francis declared civil union of the homosexuals, same sex, both men or both women, what was focused? Spiritual life or fleshly life? First temptation, it was fleshly. Ang lawas nung kaibog sa same sex, lawas mayunahuna. They did not think of the spiritual aspect. And because bodily aspect mayunahuna, the act of Pope Francis legalizing that immoral, that is anti-Christ. Anti-Christ. Second, that is, and to Thessalonica is a warning. Rome shall become the seat of the Antichrist. And so, Rome shall be saved. Rescue Philippines. And now, let's focus na. We have to digest how Illuminati, out of these doctrines, yun sa pag-igo sa Illuminati. Here is the history. And take note, kining giingon ni Jesus, three forms of temptations: body, pride, power, and kining giingon ni St. James, faith plus action. O kining giingon ni St. Paul nga Illuminati, Satan as the angel of light. These are prophecy. And prophecy is history written in advance. 1,817 ang sadiha sa Bible nga mga prophecy. That is 27% written in the Bible, prophecy. Prophecy is history written in advance. Usa ka kasaysayan nga sa wala pa mahitabo na patik na daan sa balaang kasulatan. Reason? Manganong nasayra na daan? Because of the law of nature. There are 7 laws of nature. And the 6th law of nature of cause and effect. When you know the cause, you will know the effect. The cause, the past, the effect, the future. Unsay hinungdan, then may bawaan, unsay epekto niana. And that effect is a prophecy that will happen in the future. That's the prophecy in advance, law of nature, of cause and effect. And so, meet the man who started the Illuminati. And how Illuminati, once institutionalized, then spread out to the Osaka Bavarian and professor. Professor na siya from Germany. In up creating at the center of 2 centuries of a conspiracy. Kinsa man kini siya. During the 18th century, Osaka German, take note, kining German gin ganda brilliant na sa mga minds, material world. Germany specializing bodily, worldly power and pride. And that's in Matthew. Bodily. Communism through Karl Marx. Si Karl Marx with Friedrich Engels, mga Germans to sila. Sila mo'y naggaba sa Communist Manifesto para pagtubag sa bodily needs. Without the soul, walay kalag ang tao. Body, lawas ray kinanglan. So, nahimo ang economic ideology of communism bodily. But that communism bodily, Karl Marx, bunga ka na sa Illuminati. And so, before that Karl Marx, kini ang 18th century German thinker na una pa kini, si Adam Weishaupt. German thinker Adam Weishaupt. Kinsa man kini siya? Siya mao founder nining giingon nga Illuminati until he was 36 years old. Naghimo siya, no? He was a respectable professor. Unya sa iyang pagka-professor was a dangerous enemy na hitabo diay. Now, kini si German thinker, no? Adam, imagine the word Adam. From Lulu Adam, nagngalat Weishaupt. Kini siya, born in 1748 in Ingolstadt city in the electorate of Bavaria. Kini siyang Bavaria, day Germany. Now, kini Adam Weishaupt of a Jewish converts to Christianity. Take note. Kaliwat kini siya sa usa ka Hudiyo nga na-converted into Christianity. Take note ha, Christianity. Now, he was orphaned at a young age na ilo kini, but very scholastic person. And then, niadtong gayon na i-enrolled. I-enrolled na siya. After completing students, he became professor of natural and canon law at the University of Ingolstadt. Again, professor of natural law and canon law. Kung saman ang canon law, balaod sa simbahan. It's on the church. Canon law and natural law sa University of Ingolstadt. And then he started his family. So niyadtong higayuna, he discovered nga gikinahanglan di ay nga dunay secret rituals when he was able to penetrate the church. He discovered, take note, Lucifer was an insider. The right hand of God, insider, take note. He revolted against God. May rebelde, nakig-level sa Diyos. Here comes Adam. Adam, which spot? Naghimo siya spiritual rituals within the Catholic Church. And then intimate details. Naghimo siya. And then, unsay nahitabo? The secret papers seized by the Bavarian authorities revealed fascinating about the rituals of Illuminati. Doon na sila pasundayag o dunay klase sa pag-ampo nga sukuhi against the church, like following Lucifer. And so, unsabay nahitabo, convinced that religious ideas were adequate belief system. He denounced, nag-apostasy. Instead, he withdrew. Nga, it's not good religious ideas, no more withdraw. It's just like Pope Francis is doing vocally. Namamalang si Pope Francis. Klaro. Ingon ni ini ang nahitabo. And so, apostasy, withdrawal of faith. And so, niya ng higayuna, he made a modern society. He introduced the idea, bodily aspect, not on the spiritual aspect. And then he termed it as illumination. What is illumination? Gilamdagan sa huna-huna. Using reason and knowledge. Take note. Reason and knowledge. Subordinated by pride. Giputos, wrapped by pride. The reason and knowledge wrapped by pride. Ang kahibalo ug ang katarungan giputos sa karpo. Minus soul. Unya, kita ni mao ang illumination. That is the light. That is the enlightenment. Ang mga tao sad nga lawas non ra gihuna-una, forgetting the soul, neglecting the soul, were being absorbed by that principle. Ingon ni ana ang nahitabo enslaving the world. And so niadtong higayuna unsay nahitabo. The Freemasonry. Ang Freemasonry mas una kini earlier 14th century. Ahead, mas una ang Freemasonry kaysa Illuminati. Wahi ang Illuminati, 18th century. And so Freemasonry was steadily expanding throughout Europe in this period. Paspas ang spread sa Freemasonry, offering attractive alternatives to free thinkers. So parehas ni sila. Freemasonry, free thinkers, no bodily aspect. Although, ang Freemasonry di manghilabot, doon na kay Diyos o wala kay Diyos, free kita. No? Yan ang puntuhan. And so, si Adam, may founder sa Illuminati, he tried to join the group with Freemasonry. Because they have the same principles. He decided to joining the lodge. What's lodge? Lodge, grupo ka na. No? Grupo ka na. Joining. But ultimately, after that, the mysteries of the seven sages of Memphis and the Kabbalah, he decided to found a new secret society of his own. Take note, secret society. Kini siya founder of Illuminati. Naghimo kini siya og secret society. Sekreto nga society. Ngano ba? Dili iladlad. Kay kung iladlad ka na, masakspan. In other words, hidden operations. The entire plan is hidden. But the operations move. Mura ba og system computer? The mastermind, the people mastermind, hidden. But the operations move on. Dictate, this is plan number 1, plan number 2, plan number 3, plan number 4. Example, plan timid. That is on bodily aspect. Kaya, secret society. Take note. And so, out of that, nahitabo, he wrote, offered what is emphasized on Illuminati. Freedom from all religious prejudices. Freedom from all religious prejudices. And out of this freedom of religious prejudices, it was in the year 1776 dito sa Germany. Unya, dungan usab in the same year 1776 is the Declaration of Independence of the 13 colonies, original colonies of the United States of America. So niyadtong panahon na gideklarar ang United States of America penetrated the same religious freedom, kaya church and state separation. Ingon niya na ang dagan Germany and this United States of America. So religious prejudices, meaning freedom from all religious, ayaw na pagtagad sa mga religions. And so it cultivates the social virtues, although, and animates them by a great visible and speedy prospect of universal happiness. Pinag-inject sa minds of the people, we need to have universal happiness. And that happiness is for the body. Forgetting the spirit, the soul, the spiritual happiness. So kini mo na-inject sa whole world into the governments of the world. And that United States of America became the leading proponent. And so, take note how nasud sa America, United States, niya. To achieve this, it was necessary to create a state of liberty and moral equality. Kaya dunay Liberty Statue of America. Liberty. Correct ka dyan. Liberty. But take note, liberty without God, liberty without the soul is dead. And so, it freed the obstacles which subordination, rank, and richness continually throw in our way. So niyan itong higayuna, it was on May 1, 1776 that the first Illuminati met to found the order in the forest near Ingolstadt. So it was 1776, the same year of the Declaration of Independence of the 13 colonies, the originals of the United States of America from the British colony. Kaya sakop sila sa Great Britain or England or that English people. And so in the beginning, the order's membership, meaning Illuminati, 3 levels ka na. There are 3 levels. Novices, Minervals, and Illuminated Minervals. Kining Minerval, mao kining referred to the Roman goddess of wisdom, Minerva. Si Minerva, no? Reflecting the order's aim to spread true knowledge or illumination. In other words, knowledge. Take note, knowledge and reason. Illumination, kahayag. And so about how society and the state might be reshaped. Knowledge. Kaya knowledge power. Take note. Timan ikini. Very basic. There are 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. Dunay mga gasa sa Espiritu Santo. Yes, correct ka diyan. That knowledge is one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. But you are wrong and incomplete if you forget the other gifts of the Holy Spirit. Because there are 7. And so, one of the gifts is the best is wisdom. Wisdom versus knowledge. Ang knowledge is only a very small thing compared to wisdom. Ang knowledge, on the knowledge kahibaw, what things, but on wisdom, why, how, where, who, whom, all the angles of questions embraced in wisdom. While there is a need, samtang gikinahanglan nga dunay knowledge, kahibalo ang tao to know what, unsa ang mga butang. There is a need for a person to have wisdom, kaalam, para sa iyang pagbuhat, dili siya makasupak sa plano sa Diyos. Ang kaalam mao mugiya sa tao, according to Bishop Alberto Oy. The wisdom will guide a person on how to perform his functions properly and in a right manner according to God's plan. So that's in avoidance of sin. That's wisdom. Na di makasala ang tao kay tunay kaalam gikan sa Dios. Now, while it is true na we need knowledge, but minus ito. Because giwashed out ang wisdom. Wala ang Diyos. And that is in the America. Knowledge. Other countries in the world. Unsabay nahitabo. Niadtong higayuna, kinsa man ang miapil og membro. There were 600 members in 1782 from the original. Gamay lang to sila nga mga original members. Una kini nga 600 members. And then what happened? No? What happened? Niadtong higayuna in 1782. Then they included in Bavarian public life. Usa sa ilang gi-include niini was Baron Adolf von Mawihang giapil. As member, Baron Adolf von Nietzsche. Na unsa ba ang maong performance niini ni Baron Adolf Nietzsche? Group of Illuminati was supposedly limited to sa mga students ni Adam, no? Which hopes, mga students niya, no? The membership but expanded to mga politicians, doctors, lawyers, jurists, as well as intellectuals and some leading writers, including Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. So, mga popular, mga brilliant lawyers, doctors, journalists, writers, philosophers, ug uban pa. So, 1784, the Illuminati had 2,000 to 3,000 members. May penetrate. In other words, the ideals of body-mindedness, take note, regardless walang kalag ang tao, the the concept of worldliness, ang kalibutan ra, ayaw paghuna-huna sa Dios. They penetrated it to all the educational system. Penetrated it to the political system, economic system, social system, body-mindedness, worldliness, kalibutan ra. Kana maoy na hitabo karon the systems of this world. And so, giunsa ba? Para ma-mislead ang mga tao. Niya ang nahitabo. But take note, after the French Revolution began in 1789, they were accused of desiring several or similar revolt. So that niya itong higayuna, cut off ang operations sa niadtong higayuna, no? Gi-cut off kining gitawag og Illuminati group. And so, and yet tago-tago sila but spread out secret society. And so niadtong higayuna, this his life in Gufa in Saxona, where he taught philosophy at the University of Göttingen. Then the Bavarian state considered the Illuminati dismantled. Niyadtong higayuna. But yet, conspiracy theorists mipadayon kini. In fact, the Illuminati have been fingered in recent events such as the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Powerful kayo kining Illuminati group, penetrating political groups, economic groups, professional groups, grabe sa mga intellectuals, ni ang nakapenetrate ang Illuminati. Body-mindedness, world-mindedness, kalibutan ra, materialism. And so, unsay nahitabo. Kini si Baron von Nietzsche. Doon naman yung mga tao nga gusto mo tanaw og Diyos. There is God. And so that dili matangtang ang mga tao. Still, they have to hold on that group. Then, rivalry. Instead of the Holy Trinity, with God, here is their logo, niya ang ilahang sign. One eye. Pyramid system. It was done by, this is the 13 grade structure devised by Baron von Nietzsche. Siya mo'y nagama niini. O kini siya adapt. It is adopted in the United States of America. Kining mong logo. This is the Illuminati. It is not God's. It is Lucifer. Lucifer. It's not God's. And so, the Christian eye of providence is shown in the Great Seal of the United States of a symbol of Freemasonry. So kining Illuminati, kombinar sa Freemasonry in the of the United States of America. That is the governmental enforcement of the principles of body-mindedness and world and materialism. Why pagsapayan sa Diyos? Pretension of Christianity. And ang motto sa United States of America is, in God we trust. In God we trust. Mosalig mi sa Diyos. But sa faith, according to the word, but in action against God. church and state separation. Way labot ang Ginoo diha sa gobyerno. Even there are sharing of the words of God. Even in the prayer, in the school, prohibited by Supreme Court decisions of the United States of America because it violates church and state separation. Why Diyos? Why preaching? Illuminati as angel of light, but action. So Saint James Santiago, mingo na. Where is faith? Where is Christianity without action? Because of that body-mindedness penetrating in the American continent, that is the very reason mao kanang hinungdan ngano founded at United States of America sa North American continent, South American continent, to the European continent, to the Oceanian continent, and same-sex LGBTQ buhat sa fleshly mindedness. Lawas nun, walay kalag. Mga buhat sa world materialism without God. Governmental implementation. Will now digest kinsa man who are these groups under the Illuminati, carrying the principle of mindedness, lawas kalag, way pagsapayan nga dunay kalag, kalibutan pagigugma, kalimtan ang magpubuhat, but pretending to be Christians, wearing white clothes, puti, but in reality opposite in action. First class. Doon na siya first class nga Illuminati, second class nga Illuminati, and we have the third class Illuminati. Grupo kini sila. Mastering the principles of materialism, body-mindedness, but front side as F Christians. In fact, we have that LGBT is Christian Church nga maoy mipasaka og petisyon to the Supreme Court of the Philippines for the Supreme Court to grant valid and legal the same-sex union. But Supreme Court of the Philippines declared illegal and invalid because there is no law to that effect. Gideklara Supreme Court. Dunay simbahan nga gitukod Christian Church. Blasphemy. Blasphemy. Pasipala sa Dios. Gihimong Christian nga simbahan, pagbuhat og dautan, pagbuhat nga supak sa kababuton sa Dios. That's Illuminati. And so the first class kinsa kini sila. Its novice was initiated in humanitarian philosophy. Take note, humanitarian philosophy. There is a philosophy nga bodily philosophy until he became the Minerval. And so the first mao nga moduna kini siya order statutes and could attend meetings. Kini sila kitawag kana og initiate. Morning initiate, novice, Minerval, and Illuminatus minor. So mao ni ang first class. Unya second degree, mura og grade 2 na, no? Second og high school na. Mao na kining gitawag og various degrees in this class were inspired by Freemasonry. So do na kini interconnection with Freemasonry. So the Illuminati's major supervised recruitment, and the Illuminati's dirigents presided over the Minerval's meetings. Sumao kini sila ang gitawag og apprentice, philo, master, Illuminatus major, Illuminatus dirigents. So kini ang second class. Now sa higher class sa Illuminati, they are called the highest degree of philosophical illumination. Hilabag taas na kini o philosophical illumination, and its members, kinsa ba members? Its members were press, mga pari, who instructed lower degree members. Lower orders of this class were themselves under the authority of a king. Who are the members of this Illuminati? Press, prince, magos, king. In other words, the leaders of the church and the leaders of the state. King. Parang you will be surprised. Huh? You will be surprised. How could the press in the church members of Illuminati? When the members of Illuminati are mastering the principles of body-mindedness, pretending to be Christians. Does it mean press are pretending Christians? Take note. It is not true that all press, but take up press. So, from priesthood, take note, brainwashed, dunay gipada, gigastuhan sa Illuminati, pasudlon sa seminaryo. Purpose. Take note, pandemic. Long years plan. I-plan in order to control the church, so that the church cannot evangelize what is right. Para ang simbahan dili makatudlo unsay insakto. Do natay pasudlon sa simbahan pagkapare, press, hangtod sa performance mahimong obispo, then after bishops, cardinals, then cardinals mahimong Santo Papa. It became a reality. Nahitabo, consummatum est, natuman na. And so Pope Francis, is he not a product of Illuminati? Res ipsa loquitur. The things speak for itself. That's pretending Christian. But hidden agenda, because that Illuminati is a secret society. Sekreto po ito. Misled po ang tao. Then after that, sued ka na as bishop under the program. Sued ka na as cardinal hanggang maging Santo Papa. But what happened to Pope Benedict XVI? Do you think that the real reason for his resignation was his old age or health? We will further explain and expound how Illuminati controls even the church. How Illuminati controls banking system. How Illuminati controls the governments of the world. Ito po ang operations of the Illuminati. And so, in the economic aspect, penetrating sa economic aspect, here we have Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, all German thinkers and philosophers. Unsa bay nahitabo? out of that inspiration of Illuminati, sa May 1818, German philosopher, economist, historian, sociologist, political theorist, journalist, and socialist revolutionary, si Karl Marx, offered that Communist Manifesto. Unya, kauban niya si German thinker Friedrich Engels, di published the writings. Ug mao kanay nahimo nga punuan niya ng body-mindedness hangtod nakitaan ni Lenin gi-improve ang concept of communism with 8 principles. It's not only for the body salvation, bodily, but atheism, righteous, revolution. Then, that's proletariat, itong labor force, revolution, bloody talaga. It's a fruit of Illuminati body-mindedness. Kaya the warning of Jesus Christ happened. The warning of Saint James happened. The warning of Saint Paul happened. And so, as a summary, we will now picture out and listen this summary, the secret society of Illuminati. Ito talaga ang secret society of Illuminati as explained.
All right, approach it with an open mind. Let's get started. Great. Shockingly, the Illuminati actually has a very real historical foundation. In 1776, in Bavaria, Germany, Adam Weishaupt, a German professor inspired by the ideals of French philosophy, namely secularism and rational thought, decided to form an organization to protect those beliefs.
Okay, take note. What's the French philosophy? Secularism and rational thought. What's secularism? Secular, meaning on the state body, worldliness, materialism. No church concept. That secularism, bodily, materialism lang. Gi-justify ka na sa knowledge. And that is what we call as rational thought. So, rational thought equals reason times knowledge. Kaya ito talaga wrapped by giputos sa garbo, which is pride. And this concept, philosophy, line of thinking, whole world, mi-adapt ka na. Kaya, wa na'y labot ang simbahan, wa na'y apil ang kalagnon, materialism na. And so, it is not impossible nga dunay mga pari, dunay mga obispo, dunay pa'y mga kardinal, nga so much liberal, nga pabor sa mga immoralities, kay nakasulod na daan under the program, pandemic, under the plan of the Illuminati. Kaya sila po ay maging leaders in revolting against God. And so, ang warning of St. Paul sa second book of Thessalonica nga designed before God's judgment of God's coming is the revolt, final revolt of the people of God. Moabot ka ng panahuna. And so, unsa pa'y dugang gipadayan?
Beliefs. Adam Weishaupt considered joining the Freemasons to help propagate his views, but unfortunately could not afford the admission fee.
So this is already a poor man's something.
Yeah.
So,
Basically, I
he
didn't think about it that way, but
to
yeah, you're right.
join
So
with the
instead,
Freemasons.
Weishaupt formed a secret group of his own. He called it the Order of the Illuminati.
So this is just a bunch of hobos and rapscallions.
Okay.
who-
He tried to
Yeah,
join
down by the
with
train tracks.
I don't think they meant
what
by the
we
train
call
tracks.
as
It's probably a
the
basement.
Freemasonry.
It's probably just
Oh,
like
But
this.
nevertheless,
I don't know where I'm
naghimo
going with
gina
that.
sila
Okay.
og
The
kaugalingon
Illuminati had an
separate.
anti-religious stance and focused on the goals of self-knowledge, self-reform, and free thought. Naturally, conservatives considered this a threat to the church and free thought.
Okay. Take note. Goals of Illuminati, self-knowledge, self-improvement, social reform, and free thought. Is there an error? That's the question. Is there an error of Illuminati goals as seen therein? Doon na ba'y makita nato nga sayop? Okay? If we have to talk on self-knowledge, kinahanglan may baw kita. We must know. Is it an error? No. Correct ka diyan. If we want to improve, self-improvement, we want to individually improve. Is it an error? Improvement ito. No. It's correct ka diyan. Di ba? It is seen as correct. It is seen as righteous. It is seen as right in appearance. That's Illuminati goals. Correct ka diyan. Another one, social reform. That's the goal of Illuminati. Is it wrong? No. Correct ka diyan. Social reform. It is seen by the people. Nakita ga correct. Righteous talaga eh. Where is error? Ito talaga. And number 4, free thought. Ang goals po ng Illuminati, free thought. Freedom po tayo. Freedom of expression. Freedom to speak. Freedom of the press. Freedom to exercise. Freedom of expression. Religious freedom. Is it wrong when we have the freedom? When a man should have the freedom? No, it is not wrong. Therefore, correct ka diyan. And so, on the appearance of the Illuminati goals, the whole world, the 7.8 billion people around the world, makaingon, correct ka diyan. Ito talaga. Kaya mamisled ang tao. It seems kaya whole world, because Satan can be looked like an angel of light. And so this Illuminati, ito talaga. This Illuminati, Satan, ito siya, can be looked like an angel of light. Ito, these goals are angels of light. Angels of light. And because angels, anghel sa kahayag, ang katauhan sa kalibutan mo sunod niini, they have to implement these goals because it appears to be the angels of light. And that's how the world is being misled. Yet, body-mindedness, materialism.
Naturally, conservatives considered this a threat to the church, and by the mid to late 1780s, the Illuminati was stopped, and the act of recruiting people into secret societies was criminalized. However,
Okay. So niyatong higayuna, sa 1780, nakita na sa simbahan, the state authorities discovered that ang kanilang purpose is against peace and order. It was criminalized under penalty. And so, niyadtong higayuna, nag-secret. But yet on secret operations, moving forward, moving downward, upward, sideward, back and forth, spread talaga ang principle of Illuminati. Kaya nga, birds of the same feather flock together. Ito talaga ang nangyari.
Ice hopped and the Illuminati would go Kobe in the fourth quarter. And
Okay, all right. Let's move. Keep going.
and continue to push on, persisting with meetings and eventually spreading to France before disappearing into obscurity. But some people believe they survived. Here's part of an interview I had with an expert.
Well, they believe that the core group was formed back then.
We have here the
Keep going
order
and
of
continue to push on, persisting with meetings and eventually spreading to France before disappearing into obscurity. But some people believe they survived.
Okay, ano po ito? Ano pong symbol? Ano po ito? It is Satanism. Sungay ni Satanas. One eye. One eye. Ito ang symbol. One eye, one eye. Ito ang symbol. Ano po ito? Snake ba? So that's Satanism. Ito ang order of Illuminati. Kaya nga, it pretends righteous, but the devil is inside. Kaya si Santiago nag-ingon, pakit ako pagtuo uban sa buhat, because action will prove your being a Christianity. Let's proceed on the essence of Illuminati.
Here's part of an interview I had with an expert.
Well, they believe that the core group was formed back then and has evolved. And so back in the 1920s, there were some fascists who believed that the Illuminati were a group of Jews who controlled the world. Right after World War II, the extremist anti-communists believed that the Illuminati were a group of communists who controlled the world.
Okay. So, mga Jews controlling the world, the communists as Illuminati controlling the world. United States of America, Novus Ordo Seclorum, Illuminati controls the world. Ito talaga ang works of Illuminati. Kahayag, anghel sa kahayag, pero di ay pagbanlod sa katawhan. And so,
World. And most recently, the Illuminati are part of the New World Order.
Many people believe the Illuminati seek to make a dominant one-world totalitarian government, referred to as the New World Order.
okay. Ito na nga. New World Order. Kaya mayroon tayong new normal. New normal. But the people are not aware the real meaning. Parang sabi nila, new normal, good ito. It appears to be good. The New World Order appears to be good. New World Order. But the hidden agenda, itong one world government, it's not the government of God, but a government for the Antichrist. Ito talaga. It is preparing for the Antichrist. Dominance, world government of the Antichrist. Kaya it attacks against God's plan. God's plan is divine world government. Mayroong divine world government. The Christian kingdom, the kingdom of God, the millennial kingdom. But Satan wants to have the new world order, itong Antichrist, through Illuminati. Ito nations.
In fact, in a 2013 national poll by Public Policy Polling, 28% of voters polled believed in the possibility of a New World Order.
28% of people probably believe that the sun moves around.
Well, I don't have any scientific polls for that. So
I'm just saying people are dumb.
okay. Some people believe that the influence of the Illuminati and the New World Order goes as high as the President of the United States.
Oh.
Here's an eerie clip from an old George H.W. Bush speech when he was in office.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
He does have a weird little smile when he says it.
You know that part where he's
Okay.
like, if this New World
Okay? That's the New World Order. It's very clear. So the Novus Ordo Seclorum, Latin po ito. Bakit ba? Why? Latin. Yung Novus Ordo Seclorum. It's from the church, Latin, from Italy, from Rome, Italy. Kaya nga, connected po ito. Latin, kaya
injected po, connection po ito. There is a conspiracy sa New World Order. Kaya nga, take note, beware of the hidden agenda. So the New World Order, wrapped by Illuminati, mao na mahitabo sa one world government. O diya sa one world government, one world religion. O diya, para mahimo ang one world religion, ang Santo Papa, mo declare niya na. And then pagkitabo sa one world religion, then there will be a one world currency. That one world currency is the program of the Illuminati. One world religion, one world government, one world currency, all on materialism, fleshly mindedness, out God. There is God pretension po ito. Pretension of Christianity. But the action is against God's plan. Example, same-sex marriage pronounced by the Pope. Marami pang mga very inconsistent teachings of the Pope. We will soon discover contradictory teachings because the principles behind is Illuminati. Body-mindedness, materialism. Ito po. Kaya nag-mixed ang church leaders, government leaders, the bankers. Let's talk on Rothschilds, Rockefeller, etc., the banking system of the world, the media, etc. Ito ang penetration of Illuminati in controlling the world. And so, here we have.
Order could be successful. And then he looks, and it will be. That's not creepy? That it'll make your spine tingle a little
He's
bit?
the president of the United States. He has to be forthright. He has to be confident. What kind of message would it send if he was like, if this is successful, let's hope so.
That's on the issue of...
Simon and Joe both invest in stocks.
Okay? So,
Simon
we have
uses
here,
eToro to invest in
Igo niya na ang dagan, ha?
All this begs the question,
That's on the New
what is the New
World
World Order and what will it do? Assuming the Illuminati and the New World Order are one and the same, let's hop down the rabbit hole and take a look at some of the theories as to who is in the New World Order. The first theory is from a man named Mark Kornke, aka Mark from Michigan, a right-wing militia activist and propagandist who believes that the New World Order is made up of the U.S. government, the UN, and various other organizations pushing an international agenda. He believes this organization will take away Americans' rights, form an all-powerful government, and put non-Illuminati members in camps run by FEMA.
So 1% of the world.
That's the point, no? Na ang Illuminati, of course, the New World Order. Then that New World Order, of course, is founded by the United States of America. Ito ang first angle. Another one, the 20th National
Lizard people control our societies.
4% of voters.
That's actually a pretty... wrote a book on the New World Order that claims the group is responsible for the French Revolution, the writing of the Communist Manifesto, and the creation of the Federal Reserve, all in the service of making, quote, a new order for the human race and his followers, end quote.
Okay. Klaro, ha? Ito talaga, ha?
And the creation
Communist
of the
Manifesto.
Federal Reserve, all in the service of making, quote, a new order for the human race.
Okay. So ito, ha? From Illuminati, parang to mislead the people, and then go to the New World Order. So, mayroon na tayong new normal, parang new. And then, parang normalize as F. And then we have the human race under the domination of Lucifer and his followers. Ito ang New World Order. That's United States of America.
followers, end quote.
So the Federal Reserve was created to
So another one. Ano ba ang iba pang mga operations of the New World Order? We have here the purported celebrity clones. Ito na sa social media.
But clone theorists also believe they have video evidence.
Marshall Mathers. Some of you may know him as Eminem, but he's going to join the Saturday Night crew with our music intro starting next Saturday night. But folks, I want to take you to the world premiere. Marshall, when you did that? Yeah, sorry. Live TV. Live TV freaks me out a little bit.
Oh, there you go. Live TV freaks him out a little bit.
Well, here's our Roker's clue. Notice what she says, and then notice what his face goes
Why
to.
is this a code word?
Some people believe maybe it's like a trigger sequence where his brain's now receiving instructions to be
He's-
mind controlled.
Al Roker's like the Manchurian candidate, and he's going to kill.
Oh. So there she is going, and then I sped up the video. She's in some weird trance. I actually don't know what she's doing.
She's writing lemonade in her head right now.
Why he chose that symbol. Excerpt from Beyonce's Formation. Quote, y'all haters corny with that Illuminati mess. End quote. And here's an excerpt from Jay-Z's verse in the song Freemason. Quote, I said I was amazing. Not that I'm a Mason. I'm red hot. I'm on my third six. But a devil, I'm not. End quote.
Is this their game?
Okay. Take note ha. Nakapenetrate na kini sa mga actors, actresses, sa mga singers, as if they are all their propaganda system. So, a Filipina singer, no? Nakapenetrate
Heard
na
of
sa
people
media,
pinpointing
social
musicians
media.
as the Illuminati.
So all
That's
others, no,
ridiculous.
the
We
singers.
don't run anything. We're celebrities. End quote. Other celebrities that have been accused of being in the Illuminati include Lady Gaga, Rihanna, Madonna, and Katy Perry, just to name a few.
I bet, you know what? I bet Kobe's in the Illuminati. See what you just said? Jesus Christ.
In the Philippines,
Illuminati confirmed.
penetrated na
She
sa
also seems
Philippines.
to be absent from her desk quite frequently, perhaps to attend to Illuminati affairs. What if you're in the Illuminati?
Look, I am not in the Illuminati.
Wink.
I am
Charis.
not in the Illuminati.
By the
Kaya
way,
nga, Charis, no? Same sex. Vice ganda, same sex. Iba pa. Kaya the acts of Illuminati, distortion of moral values, ito talaga. Kaya sanctioned by the Pope. And so, we have here,
available for on-camera interviews, end quote. She also mentioned, quote, there are many misconceptions about my client's organization, end quote, and referred me to the website's beliefs section, which is abstract and quite interesting to say the least. But let's visit the professor one more time. I guess the last question would be, what
okay. So, in other words, in summary, the operations of the Illuminati as digested, penetrating in the church, nakapenetrate sa simbahan from the priest upward, nakapenetrate kini sa political system, nakapenetrate kini sa economic system, universities, colleges, nakapenetrate kini, philosophy, nakapenetrate kini sa movie industry, sa television, sa social media, sa mass media. Kaya all the scandalous, all the immoralities, all others boil down to body-mindedness, materialism, pride, and power. And so, all in all, as warned by Jesus, it is how this world is being governed by Illuminati. How Illuminati controls this world. And so, we will pray nga ang atong mahal nga birhen sa kasilat maoy mugiya kanatong tanan with our prayers. Birhen sa kasilat, sidlaki ang among salabutan, sidlaki ang dala namong pagalaktan, og sidlaki ang tibuok kalibutan. Amen and
Amen. Santos, Santos, Santos. Ang Diyos manalangin kanatong tanan.